Chapter 9. 3 months ago when Jing-tan saw Depeng for the first time, it was still small and thin. Now it was developing in the direction of its name. Therefore Jing-tan admired the old lady who named Depeng very much. He was really amazing. Depeng, who was squatting on the instant noodles, seemed to have felt something strange on the balcony. It turned sideways and looked out of the window. As a result, because its movement was a little too big, the instant noodles under its butt made a crisp caw sound. Hearing this sound, Depeng immediately froze. Then it drooped its ears and slowly turned back. It no longer looked at the balcony. Its back was very sad. Jing-tan twitched the corner of his mouth. It seemed that he felt a little guilty. Well, it seemed that Depeng's supper tonight would have to be reduced again. The old lady who fed Depeng had a son who worked in the provincial military. Every month the old lady would stay with the old lady for a week or two. Depeng would follow her. Sometimes the old lady's son would come over to stay for a few days. Every time Depeng would suffer. Jing-tan remembered that during the military training in his freshman year, if he made a mistake he would be punished by the instructor to stand in a military posture. But now for a spineless cat, standing in a military posture was impossible. Therefore, Depeng was often punished to squat on instant noodles. After squatting, its rations would be deducted based on the degree of fragmentation of the instant noodles. On the other side, the Jiaopa had already parked the car. Jing-tan turned around and jumped off the balcony railing. He followed the Jiaopa into the building to go home. When he entered the house, the Jiaoma was already back. However, the way she looked at Jing-tan was a little strange. Jing-tan felt goosebumps all over his body. After entering the room, Jing-tan hid behind the door and pricked up his ears to listen. "What's wrong?" the Jiaopa asked. "Sai Huang has passed away." Jiaoma sighed. Jing-tan was stunned. Huang, that idiot, was still alive and kicking a few days ago, looking like he had nowhere to vent his energy. How could he? After listening to the conversation between Jiaopa and Jiaoma, Jing-tan finally understood. So it was castration and not death. Did that mean that Huang had become a eunuch? I heard from Sister Ling that this can help Huang get rid of some of his bad habits. Coincidentally, Huang is also 8 months old, so he can undergo surgery. Today Sister Ling also asked me if I should send our black charcoal to Shaoguo for surgery, but I refused, Jiaoma said. Behind the door Jing-tan felt cold sweat dripping down his back. But when he heard the last sentence he felt relieved. Our cat doesn't need it. Jiaopa decided. Everyone's cat is different. Her cat is suitable but ours might not be. In the future when Sister Ling tries to persuade you, you can just refuse. Yeah, I think so too. Jiaoma, who had received support, smiled again. Jing-tan, who was squatting behind the door, also let out a long sigh of relief. If he really was sent for surgery he would rather run away and run far away than have surgery done to his family jewels. Jing-tan silently mourned for that idiot Huang in his heart. In the past he had heard that Huang liked to pee everywhere. At home, even if he was placed in a cat litter box he would still pee all over it. Therefore Huang's litter box at home had 2 layers. The outer layer was the key. As for Huang, it was even more delighted when it arrived. Many places in the Dongfang family compound could smell its urine. Jing-tan had whipped it many times for this, but it was obvious that it was the type that would not change no matter how hard he tried. Since Huang's life wasn't in danger, Jing-tan didn't have to worry anymore. Since he knew that he had become like this, Jing-tan had been telling himself to try his best to adapt. The next day the otaku came knocking on the Jiao family's door with dark circles under his eyes. It was Saturday and the Jiao Yuan and the others were at home eating breakfast. "You Xiaochu so early?" Jiaoma was a little surprised. "So early? It was already past 9 o'clock, wasn't it?" Gu Yuzi looked at the bright sunshine outside and then looked at the Jiao Yuan. The two continued to silently struggle with the egg noodles in their bowls. However, for Xiaochu, who usually slept late and woke up late, it was indeed very early. Jiaoma knew this, and that was why she was surprised that comrade Xiaochu woke up before noon, which was rare. Xiaochu forced a smile, looked around the living room and asked, "Brother Jiao isn't here?" "He has an experimental class today, so he left early in the morning." "Do you need to talk to him about something?" "If it's urgent I can call him," Jiaoma said. It's nothing urgent." Xiaochu's eyes fell on a low stool next to the dining table, and saw the black cat eating noodles. He said to Jiaoma, "Sister Gu, can I borrow your cat?" Jiao Yuan and Gu Yuzi, who were busy with their breakfast, put down their chopsticks at the same time and looked at Comrade Little Chu, who was standing at the door awkwardly. Last month, at a certain time and place, someone had propped himself up with one hand on the wall and the other on his waist and proudly said, "There's not a single mouse in my house." Seeing the two children's eyes, Xiao Chu felt even more awkward. He coughed and said to Jiao Ma, "I mentioned this to Brother Jiao yesterday." Jiao Ma didn't think there was anything wrong with it. It was a good thing that someone wanted to borrow her cat, and it showed that her cat was capable. This made Jiao Ma feel an inexplicable sense of pride. Jiao Ma waved her hand. "It's not a big deal. You can borrow it whenever you want." Jingtan, Jiao Yuan and Gu Yuzi were speechless. When Jiao Pa wasn't around, Jiao Ma was always so dictatorial. "Thank you so much, Sister Gu. I'll bring charcoal over after dinner today." Sighed Big Sister Gu, "You don't know, but that rat in my house is almost causing me to have a nervous breakdown." After getting permission, Comrade Little Chu instantly swept away his dispirited mood and went back to his room with satisfaction. Jiao Ma smiled like a morning glory. "That's the good thing about having a cat." Jiao Yuan lowered his head and poked the small porcelain bowl in front of him with his chopsticks. He tried to imitate Xiao Chu's words. "There's not a single mouse in my house." Jiao Ma knocked on Jiao Yuan's head. "Eat your noodles." Gu Yuzi pursed her lips, looking very unhappy. At around 8 o'clock in the evening, Xiao Chu came over to borrow the cat. Without Jiao Ma saying anything, Jingtan walked over to the opposite side. He had to solve this problem sooner or later. Otherwise, those white mice would have been in vain. Jiao Yuan was still cheering at the door. "Black charcoal, come on. Show them what you've got." Jiao Ma turned around and said with a straight face, "Go back and do your homework. If you make a mistake, I'll cut your pocket money in half." On the other side, Jingtan followed Xiao Chu into the house. After entering the house, Jingtan felt a sense of familiarity at first glance. It was so King messy. It was just like himself in the past. The second time he saw a familiar creature. Jingtan saw 3 cockroaches as soon as she entered the room. One had just crawled into the bathroom, one had crawled out from under the cupboard, and it crawled back into the cupboard when it sensed the presence of someone. The third cockroach, which was the closest to Jingtan, paused when it saw her. It shook its long antennae and quickly crawled into a pile of magazines.